I'm Michael Sazin, the Parrot Wizard, and I would like to share with you my headline presentation at this year's 2019 Bird Paradise Parrot Palooza. 5 things you can do with your parrot today to improve your parrot's behavior.
Advice number 1, the first thing you could do to get your parrot behaving better is double up on toys. Literally, the amount of toys you have in your cage, if you put twice as many in, you will see improvement in behavior, because all too many times I go to people's homes to give consultations and they say, oh, my bird is noisy, my bird is messy, my bird is this, whatever their problem is, my bird plucks its feathers. Well, the first thing I notice is that, wow, that's a pretty bare cage. And it might not be completely bare, there's 3 or 4 toys in there. It doesn't mean that there's no toys at all, but they can use more toys. These are very, very, very intelligent animals. You can see Kitty's videos, her matching colors and talking and doing so many things that are comparable to a human child. And now we're taking these animals away from the wild. We're putting them in a captive environment. We're not just leaving them loose in our room to fly around all day. If they could do that all day, they'll find things to chew up. They'll chew up your phone and your curtains and your keyboard. They'll keep themselves busy. But because we don't like for them to do that, we put them in a cage to keep them safe from those things. It's understandable. When we're not home, we can't just leave them out. But at the same time, they don't have the curtains and the keyboard and the phone and your hat and all those things to chew up. So doubling up on the toys in the cage is a way to start to give them more of that. Now, not only is it about the type of toys you give them, not just about the quantity, it's about the quality. You want toys that the bird is going to destroy. So how many of you have that toy in the cage that's been in there for a year and they don't touch it? Right? There's that kind of toy. How many of you have a bird that, they chewed up a toy like the first day you gave it to them and it was gone? So that both happens. Well, you need to be smarter about your toy choices. You need to learn what kind of toy to get your bird at this moment, right now. Not what your bird liked a year ago, not what it's going to like a year from now. You got to find the toy that your bird is going to like now, the toy that's going to last 2 to 4 weeks. If in 2 to 4 weeks that toy isn't down to just a chain or a string and that's all that's left, that toy was not the right toy for your bird. They didn't use it to its full potential. You wasted your money. You got them a toy that's still hanging there. They weren't using it. On the other hand, if you get a toy that's done in 1 day, now they had a blast, but you're going to need another one tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and that's not going to be keeping them busy when it's done and empty. So you need to be able to look at what toys your bird's been chewing and how long it's been taking them, and predict toys that are going to be, easy enough that the bird is going to be able to chew 5 pieces today and 5 tomorrow and a couple beads the next day, and guess what? In a couple weeks, there's nothing left, and that's going to be the maximum entertainment for your bird. While they're busy being entertained with their toys, that's when they're not picking at their feathers. That's when they're not busy screaming. It's when they're not biting you. They're doing something that's very innate to them, that they enjoy doing, and it's already teaching them better behavior than if you left them in a bare cage with no toys and they got bored and were just screaming their butt off all day. What's going to happen is they're screaming, 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 and maybe even you don't walk by deliberately. You walk by accident. But they think, yes, the screaming worked. I got my human to come. So inadvertently, if your bird is bored and busy screaming, you're inevitably going to teach them to scream more. It's just going to happen. So the first advice that I have to you is to reduce that unwanted behavior, is to give them more entertainment, more toys, more things to keep them occupied, so that you can't accidentally encourage the bad behavior you don't want. Now that brings me to my second point. The second thing that you can do to help improve your bird's behavior is 12 hours of sleep. All year long, steady cycle, exactly 12 hours. Not more, not less. Steady. And the problem is that parrots, they're equatorial birds. At the equator, the amount of daylight varies from 10 to 14 hours. That averages out to about 12, is the middle of the year, the middle of the season. Well, up here, we get so much daylight in the summer, and then it's so dark in winter, and it messes with their cycle. That encourages the birds to be hormonal. And it encourages them to be hormonal, not for a short time, but much longer time than they should be, because the days become way too long. So you want to learn how to control your bird's day and night cycle to be able to improve their behavior. And the way to do that is the easiest way: cover the cage. So if you only have one bird, you get a black sheet, kind of like one of these. You just put it over the cage. Try to make sure that the cage is in a quiet environment. Don't be blasting the TV right next to that. And give them a timed out portion of 12 hours of sleep. That's going to reduce some of the hormonal triggers that lead to that unwanted behavior where they want to make a nest, and they want to kill and bite everyone that comes near that nest and that they don't want to allow near it. So by reducing their sleep to 12 hours, you'll be able to do that. Now, what if you have a lot of birds? What if you have a lot of birds? That's kind of hard. It starts to get complicated to be able to cover 10, 15 cages. My next favorite thing to do is the lights on timers. That's what I have at my house. I have 3 birds, but I do a lot of travel, and I'm not always there to maintain the exact cycle. I don't want them to not get the right amount of sleep. So in my house, the lights are controlled on a timer. At Home Depot, for like 20 bucks, they have these digital timers that you replace the light switch with a timer instead, and you can set the time. You can still use it like a light switch. You can push it, but you can also set the time for the lights to turn on and turn off. And by doing this, I can have the lights turn on at 10 a.m., turn off at 10 p.m. So when it gets dark outside, the birds are still kept awake in the winter for longer, so they don't go to bed too early. And in the summer, on the other hand, it's still light outside, and the bird needs to be sleeping. So in that case, you got to cover the windows. Nice blackout curtains like this, you can manually cover up the windows to make sure that it gets dark, and then just use the light timers, to turn off at the right time. The other thing that I have at my house is I have automatic roll down gates. They're connected to the same type of light switch, and those just like shutters, they roll down and block out the light. So in the morning, we like to sleep in on weekends, and so do our neighbors, and that's okay because our birds also sleep in because it stays dark in their room. So even though the windows face outside, because they have the gates shut down on that, they think it's still night. Their body thinks it's still night, and they don't get hormonal thinking that, hey, it's reproductive season, let's get it on, bite everyone. Okay, point number 3. The third thing you can do to improve your parrot's behavior today, right here at Parrot Palooza, you get them a tree stand or an activity center. You want that bird to be out of the cage with an activity to do. The one thing you don't want to be using is those play top stands or having the bird hanging out on top of the cage. Birds get aggressive and funny when they're on top of the cage. They're already like that inside their cage. Now you're breeding a monster on top of the cage. You want to take them off to put them inside, and they're like, no, my cage. Or they run to the back of the cage and you can't get them off. You're just asking for a fight with that bird, and then you're going to be the bad guy at the end of the day. So in order to avoid that problem, but also to ensure that we're interacting with our bird every day, that we're having them step up every day, that we're having them be a part of our life every day, you get a separate stand to keep in a different room. So you have the bird cage in one room, and take your bird to a different room every day. So for example, we keep our birds in a bird room. That's where the cages are, but we take them out to our living room. So we have not the cage in the living room, but the bird stand in the living room. And every day we make sure we take them out, we take them with us, and have them hang out. And this way we are part of their interaction. They can't get to that bird stand. They can't get to the activities of the bird stand without interacting with us as part of it, coming in and out of the cage every day. If on the other hand, using that play top stand, they climb them in and out themselves, you don't need to be part of that picture. They can climb out, climb back in whenever they want. So it takes you out of that relationship with the bird. Having that bird stand helps. The other thing you need is double up on toys again. Get that bird stand to be as exciting as possible. You put lots and lots of exciting toys that your bird actually likes. Toys that they like even more than in the cage. Okay, they're in the cage, they need extra excitement on the bird stand. You put their favorite toys on the bird stand so they got something to look forward to when they come out. But then you also put their other favorite toys in the cage so they got something else to look forward to. Different toys. Give them a bigger experience both inside and outside of the cage. By putting lots of toys on that tree stand, it's going to give them quiet time. It's going to give them an activity to do while they're being out. A cage away from cage. They're getting out of cage time, but it's not in the cage. It's in a different environment. It's in a tree stand. They can climb around it. They can grip on it. They can climb on it. They can chew on the toys. It's giving them an extra thing to do in their day. It's giving them new activities so that that boredom that they have in the cage doesn't come out with them, and they're got something to do. This way, again, they're not getting into that destructive or undesirable behavior bothering you for your attention when you're trying to do something else and you want them to be out with you. Okay, the fourth thing you can do right here today from Parrot Palooza immediately, enrich your parrot's food. Give them more variety, give them things to have fun with. Now, I'm not talking about nutrition and diet necessarily. For nutrition and diet, we've got Supreme, we've got Harry here, we've got a lot of great information about nutrition. You're going to pick the staple diet for your parrot that's suitable for the species you have, for the age of the bird you have, for the lifestyle your bird lives. You're going to want to consult with these people and find out, what do they recommend for you. So nutritionally, that's a separate topic altogether. I'm not touching on that right now. I'm saying in addition to the nutrition, You give them a little bit of variety. Give them some vegetables, some fruits, some seeds, a little bit of seeds. Take it easy on the seeds. Some nuts, some of the other fun foods. They've got loads and loads of bins here at the store. You can check out all these different fun foods. You're going to give them a little bit of enrichment through these different foods so that they have some fun in their life. Take it easy though. Don't give them too much. We want to save some of the treats for training for behavior. So that brings me to my last point is the fifth thing that you can take away from Parrot Palooza and start working on with your parrot right now, right here, to improve their behavior is clicker training. You can pick up a copy of my book, The Parrot Wizard's Guide to Well-Behaved Parrots, at my table down right in the middle, right by the sign with a picture of me with my birds. And you can learn about how you can enjoy clicker training as part of your daily routine with your parrots. This is not just a magic wand. It might look like that, but the birds just follow wherever we point. They just gravitate towards it. That's the beautiful thing. The birds just gravitate toward wherever the stick is pointing. So if that stick is pointing to my hand because I want the bird to step up for me, the bird steps up for me. If my goal is to get the bird to step onto a new tree stand they haven't tried before, if my goal is to get them to come toward a new trick that we're trying to teach them, if my goal is to get the bird to step up for my spouse or for a visitor or for someone different, now they might not recognize that new toy. They might not recognize that new person, but they recognize the stick, they recognize the clicker, they recognize the methodology. And you can use this to transfer over what they learned with you during your one-on-one training toward other people. So if you've got a bird that maybe it's great for you, it steps up for you, no problem. Well, you can use this to help you get the bird to step up for other people. Or if you have a bird that's not very reliable, it's stepping up for you in the first place. This is a way to teach them to be more reliable about stepping up. You can learn all about that in my book, The Parrot Wizard's Guide to Well-Behaved Parrots. I have them available, and I'll be signing books here throughout the day. And you can also check out over 500 videos for free on my website, parrotwizard.com, and see how I use clicker training and my daily lifestyle and routine with my parrots to improve their behavior. Things like the tree stands, the trick training, the perches, all the different things that you can find on my website are really all behavioral things. These are all things that ultimately lead to a more well-behaved parrot and that great relationship that we desire. Now, later today at 5 p.m. I'm going to have a talk about taking parrots outside. So that's another great way to enrich your parrot's life. Come to that talk and learn about some tips about harness training, as well as other ways that you can take your bird outside without using a harness. And then tomorrow, we're going to have a repeat of this talk, and then we're going to have a Q&A session for some more in-depth questions. So for those of you coming for both days, check out our Q&A. For those of you who can't make it here tomorrow, come by our table with your questions and check out my book and enjoy your stay here at Parrot Palooza. You could be able to do those 5 things. Some of those things you could just do on your own. Some of those things you might purchase some supplies for. But in any case, the relationship that you get with your bird for it will be worth it. So in review one more time, the 5 things you can do right here today to improve your parrot's behavior. Double up on those toys. Give them lots and lots of toys. I'm talking 8 to 12 toys is pretty normal. I've heard people say, don't cram the bird's cage. No, cram your bird's cage. It's good. It's good for them. It keeps them busy. Much better behavior from birds that are crammed than not. If you're worried about them cramming that they can't open their wings, usually on the bottom, you don't put too much toys on the bottom. Put a perch on the bottom. They can go and stretch their wings down low if they really want to, but cram the top. They like it. They like to hide behind the toys. If somebody comes to your house that they're afraid of, they'll hide behind the toys. It's like a little jungle there. The trees are fully crammed with leaves and branches, so your bird will appreciate having a crammed cage with lots of toys at the top. Second thing, it's 12 hours of sleep, steady all throughout the year. Not changing around, not more, not less. Keep it steady. That'll help tone down those hormones and tone down the behavior that comes from the seasonal changes. Number 3, get a tree or an activity center, set up a cage away from cage, another place for your bird to hang out so that it's spending time with you, away from the cage, and doing it in a productive manner. Number 4, enrich your parrot with a variety of foods. And number 5, check out my book, The Parrot Wizard's Guide to Well-Behaved Parrots, and learn about clicker training. Watch my videos, lots of free advice, free videos, how to do a lot of the training activities there as well. Start training your parrot and you will see much better improvement in the behavior. So let me see if we have a few questions about these topics, specifically these 5 topics, and if not, other broad questions we'll answer over at my table right after. Okay, no questions. We have those water bottles for giveaways, so come and answer some trivia questions, and we'll be happy to give you out those for free. I've got cards, and we'll be signing books for the rest of the afternoon here. Thank you so much for coming.